Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another interview here at Snapcardster. I'm Andreas, and as promised, I would get some interesting guests in here. And today we have Pierre Dagen. Is that rightly pronounced, or
It's almost good. It's very,
okay?
very hard to pronounce for a
I
non-French speaker.
I wanna hear
Yeah.
the right way.
So if I say it, it's Pierre Dagen.
Pierre Dagen.
Yeah, Dagen, but
Okay,
you're close.
okay. I will. Yeah, close is okay with me. So could you give just a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a gold level pro. I'm French, as the accent indicates. I've been playing Magic for 8 or 9 years now, and I've been a gold pro for 4 years. Ever since 2013, I've been a gold pro.
Yeah.
So I play competitively. Well, I mean, I play on the pro tour basically. When I say pro, I'm not like a full-time professional player,
Yeah.
but I'm in the train.
I was kind of curious about that because usually when you hear something like professional, it means you get paid to do something, but you're not a full-time pro. So do you have a job? Do you study?
Yeah, yeah, I do have a job. I'm a co-founder of a management consulting firm.
Oh, okay.
So basically, I handle mostly in healthcare. So I help manage a bunch of clinics and hospitals in France.
Oh, okay. So you have you have a full-time job, and I bet
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it's even more time-consuming than just a full-time
Yeah,
job.
it's a little bit more than full time actually. Like we grew up a lot. Now we have like 12, 14 persons to manage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes a while.
So how do you combine that with Magic? Because you have been at the top for like you say 4 years, so you have to still play a lot to keep up, so you don't get like surpassed by full-time pros, I
Well,
guess.
the first thing I think is I'm not really at the top, and maybe that's one of the reasons. Um, I'm just close to the top usually.
Oh, okay.
It's also basically what I do is I almost never play Magic like usually, but whenever there is a big tournament coming up and I want to do well, I actually devote a lot of time, but over a very short period of time. For example, for a pro tour,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take 1 week off from my work, and I'm gonna play maybe 8 hours a day for the whole week.
Okay.
So basically, I'm pretty bad at Magic, and then I play a lot of Magic for 1 week, and I'm kind of good. Then
Yeah.
I play the Pro Tour, and then I go back to being bad.
That sounds like some of the Hall of Famers. They seem to do it like that. Just don't play regularly, and then just play following up to the Pro Tour, and they usually do quite well. It sounds kind of like Jon Finkel to me. That's like the same formula.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like a poor man's version of Finkel, if you
Yeah, but
want.
I understand. Okay, that's pretty impressive. So basically, you don't worry too much about Magic when there's no Pro Tour coming up.
Not sure. Like, I mean, I play a few GPs, especially if either if I like the format, like for Legacy, for example,
Yeah.
or if I have like some very, very good friends coming with me. Like for example, if there is a team tournament, then I'm gonna very probably gonna play it because those are a lot of fun. But I don't really, I mean, I don't try to grind pro points like I used to.
Oh, okay.
I just,
So how have you managed to maintain gold level? I mean, if you don't play a lot of Grand Prix and stuff, isn't that
uh,
hard?
it, yeah, like this year I thought would be my last in the train, but actually I did very well in most pro tours.
Yeah.
Like I top 81, and I mean, I scored extra pro points at every pro tour so far.
Okay, that's
So
pretty good.
I think the way I prepare for pro tours is pretty efficient. Like even in a short period of time, yeah. But basically, when I prepare for a pro tour, I do it exactly as if it was my job. Like I do it very seriously.
Yeah.
So I usually have a very good medium record at the PT,
Yeah.
and I'd say like over a year, maybe like 95% of my pro points I will get on the pro tour. And then if I can do well at like a bunch of GPs, it's usually enough to make gold.
So is that normal, like with within your team? That do they also do it like play all the time, or what's the normal
No,
thing to
like
do?
I think most pros actually grind a lot of GPs because this is a way to make sure like if you actively want to remain on the train, you should be playing a lot of GPs.
Yeah.
Because there are so many GPs that if you play well and you prepare well, you are almost guaranteed to score a lot of pro points. This should be the basis to make sure you stay in the train.
Yeah.
And then if you do bad on the PT and you play a lot of GPs, you will probably make gold. And if you do well on the PT and you play a lot of GPs, you might make platinum.
Yeah. Okay.
But
That's kind
GPs
of
should be the
interesting.
base.
Yeah, because the level of the opposition is not as good, or
Yeah, and because there are like many more opportunities. Like even
Yeah,
if you are the best person in the world, the best player with a good deck, and you test well, out of 4 PTs, you might just miss day two twice, for example,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
There's
there
a
is
lot of
no way you will
variance.
be in the train. Whereas for GPs, if you play like 20 GPs in 1 year, I mean, I'm not even sure if it's like possible to play 20 GPs in 1 year, but let's say you play like 15 GPs in 1 year
Yeah.
and you're a good player, for sure you're gonna score like at least 20 pro points.
But how isn't there some kind of like Grand Prix gap where you can only use your points from 5 GPs or something like that?
Yeah, like your best six finishes,
Your best six
but
finishes, okay.
yeah, but if you like, let's say you make finals once, that's already 6 points. Then you make another top eight, that's 10 points. So you're up to 10. And now you have like two 3 point finishes and two 2 point finishes.
Yeah.
That's 6 GPs and that's already 20 points.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess you can if you're very good, I guess that's a realistic season.
Yeah, like I think if you're like among, let's say, like the top 100 best players in the world, you should be able to reach that threshold.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting that your
I
take
mean,
on it. I actually expected you played a lot of Magic, like to just keep up with the competition.
I mean, I think I still play a lot. It's just that I play in 1 week what most player will play over a month, and then I almost don't play. But if you divide the time I spend playing Magic over a year,
Yeah.
it's still a lot.
Oh, okay,
It's
sure.
just like in the way I do it. It's not like when you start playing Magic and like once a week you go to an FNM or something like this. This I don't do at all. Like I can very easily spend 1 month without seeing or touching a single Magic card.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I don't think a lot of people on the Pro Tour have it this do the same way as you actually. I think
Yeah,
most.
but I think I'm also much luckier than the other guys. Like I think this year I definitely should not have stayed on the train, and I got very good results, and I got pretty lucky to top 8 a PT.
Yeah.
But I don't think my investment would justify me being on the Pro Tour.
No, I mean that's pretty good. You don't hear a lot of players say that. I mean, admitting that they are very lucky. It's usually, yeah, I played great. I had a great deck. Of course, I did great. I like that approach.
I had a horrible deck when I top 8'd, honestly. I probably had the worst deck to make top 8 of a PT in a very long time.
Was that the? I don't
It was a
follow
blue
standard
red
too much. Blue
Dynavolt
reds,
tower,
yeah.
and it was really bad.
Did you have a strong limited performance at that tournament, or?
I went 5-1, yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So I wanted also to ask. I like this question to ask to players I talk to. The point where you realized that you were good enough to like play at top level. Do you remember that point of time?
Yeah, as this is gonna sound super pretentious, but like when I started playing, like very quickly I had pretty good results. I mean, it was at a very small scale, obviously, but like I think I learned playing, and even like after 2, 3 tournaments, I was starting to do good.
Yeah. Okay.
And I never really thought to myself, oh, okay, I will never be able to be better than this guy or this guy. I knew that some guys were better than me,
Yep.
but there was not really a point where I was like, oh, this guy will always be better than me. So I didn't really ever think of a limit that I could not reach
Okay.
until like pretty recently.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because you mentioned that there is a gap between you and the absolute top players right now.
Yeah,
That's what you're
exactly. Yeah,
referring to,
like
right?
yeah, exactly. Like if you see someone like Nassif when he plays really, really well. Like right now, Nassif he doesn't play a lot, so maybe he's not as good as he used to. But if you go like back 4 or 5 years and you watch Nassif play like back when he was at his peak,
Yeah.
the level of play he has, the level of skill, the way he like figures out everything in a
Mm.
single game, I don't think like my mind would be able to do it. Basically. Like even if I focus and I train super hard,
Yeah.
I think this is probably beyond my reach.
Okay, sure. That's pretty good. Pretty good to know your own like limits, but also it sounded like you started off the game being kind of like pretty optimistic that you could do
Yeah.
well. Do you think that made a difference?
Uh,
If you were more you didn't believe in yourself, do you think you wouldn't have reached this far level?
Yeah, honestly, if when I started I had been thinking like, oh, I will not be able to, let's say, make it to the Pro Tour, for example,
Yeah.
I don't think I would actually have invested a lot of time in Magic. Like the main reason behind me playing a lot when I was younger was that my friends were playing, but the main reason why I kept playing after the guys I started with stopped playing
Yeah.
was because I felt like I would be one day on the PT and probably do well. So if I was thinking I'm not that good and I will never be among the best, I think after like 2 or 3 years, I would just not have been playing anymore.
So that's kind of interesting. So I don't think a lot of players are that focused on the psychological aspect, but it sounded like you had a pretty good grip of your own capabilities and limits pretty early on. It sounds.
Yeah, or either that or I was just super pretentious. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I felt like I could do it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So what about? Do you have any personal goals left in Magic?
I have a dream. I don't know if it's a goal because I think like a dream is something you would like to do, and a goal is something you work to achieve.
Yeah,
So
the
my
one
dream
is
would
more
be to
realistic
play
than the
like
other.
yeah, exactly. Like the dream would be to play in the individual world championship.
Yeah.
Like winning that would be like to me the best thing I could ever achieve in Magic. Like it would be better than Hall of Fame or anything. Like that's the one thing I would really like to do.
Yeah.
But I don't really
That's your
think
dream, right?
yeah, that's my dream. That's not
Yeah.
my and my goal is to make a captain of the French team again this year. And this I think I have a decent chance of
So
doing.
what is the race like right now?
Uh,
It's you and who else?
it's always the same three players. Like every year, it's Raphael Levy, Jeremy Desani, and myself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like we always are like at the top for like 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
But this time I have like I think I have 38 points. Raph has 37, and Jeremy has like 35 maybe. So it's super close.
That's close. So this Pro Tour is pretty important in that regard, right?
Exactly. Like this is pretty much the only thing I will be playing for. Like I'm not very likely to make platinum, and I've never been platinum in my life, and I don't think I will ever be. Unless maybe like I try to actually make it, and maybe I stop working for a year or something. But right now, I don't think I'm very likely to make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm mostly planning to be captain.
So how do you deal with these? So you have some goals. I think every Magic player has some goals for either the season or the career. So how do you deal with not getting there? And how satisfying is it to actually achieve your goals? Can you talk a bit about that
Yeah,
emotional roller coaster?
I think that's actually a very good question because I think when I started playing, and for a very long time, actually, like even until maybe like a year ago, the thing was if I reached my goal, I was like, yeah, I reached it. Okay, fair enough, and whatever. But if I failed, I felt super bad.
Yeah.
And then like you grow very frustrated because you are not even very happy when you win, but you are super pissed when you lose. And now I try to be like a little bit less dramatic about things. So if I make captain, that's good. If not, whatever, like I'll make it next year. But I also think it's much easier to like have some distance about those things when you've been playing for a longer time and when you know that you will still be on the tour the next year, so you will have like another shot.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of it's exactly what you just described. The thing that when you do well, you're not really happy. When you do bad, it's just a catastrophe. I think that's a lot of
Yeah,
how it's like in the community, and I think for the newer pros, they kind of learn that that's the way to do it because the experienced players do it like that, and but maybe they should just be happy that they're in a fortunate spot to even be gold, because there are some Danish pros
yeah.
who basically get sad that they lost out on the chance of platinum, for instance. But why not just be happy that you're gold? I mean,
Like, how can you be sad about that? Like, whenever you go play even a GP and you come home, you spent a good weekend and you made like, let's say you went like 10-4, I think it's 11-4, sorry,
yeah,
and you make like $250.
yeah,
Yes, that's not a lot of money, of course, but I mean, you got paid to play a game, and
yeah.
that should be enough. Like, you should never be sad about that.
No, but yeah, you just read a lot of like tweets, Facebook updates about people being sad that they only went 12-3 or 11-4 or whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just it's kind of a negative way to describe a good thing, in my opinion.
yeah. I think people are also trying to put like very high expectations on themselves because they feel like it will help them be more motivated.
Yeah. Okay,
But
that could be a good reason for doing it like that, for sure. Like pressuring yourself to do better next time.
yeah, but I don't know if it works because like if let's say I'm like playing for top 8 at the GP. Okay, so if the day before I said, oh, I need to top 8 this GP, yes, I'm gonna play well. But even if the day before I was like, oh, I don't care, I will still play well. Like I'm not gonna decide to lose
No.
just because I didn't expect to top 8. So I'm not sure it helps that much. I think when you win, you win. And what you were thinking about yourself before the tournament, your expectations, they don't really matter. They don't help you win.
Yeah.
But when you lose, the way you thought you were going to do is going to impact how you feel about it much more. So you would rather not have too high expectations.
Yeah, it makes sense to be like more relaxed and just take it as it comes and appreciate the good stuff and use the bad stuff as kind of fuel to do better next time. And not just get super involved with one tournament. I think Magic is a long grind, so that's how I look at it anyway. When I like play a tournament,
I think this is the most important thing actually. Like, if you played very well for a whole year and every tournament went bad, then I can understand the frustration, right? Like, this is actually unfair to you.
Yeah.
So you are allowed to be pissed, I mean.
Yeah.
But if it's for one tournament, I mean, if you're a good player, you should know that it can go wrong. Like, even if you're the best player with the best deck, you can't just go 0-4 and drop. That happens to, I mean, in every pro tour, you have a good player, like a pro, a well-known pro, with a good deck and a good testing team, and this guy will go 0-7. Like last time, I think it was Ben Stark. He's really good, but he finished dead last of the last PT, and that happens.
Yeah, for sure. It's but yeah, you're right. If you have played for a long time, you should know that that's the name of the game. And if you haven't played for a long time, maybe you don't you shouldn't have that high expectations. So
yeah, or at least you should understand that it can happen to you.
Yeah. That's that's very interesting. I like the psychological part of Magic also. Then I want to talk about a little standard with all the bannings, because I don't play standard. I just follow like the Magic scene. So when I read about this card getting banned, this deck being too dominating, what's your take on this? Is it a good or a bad thing that they start banning stuff in standard?
So first thing, I don't really know a lot about standard right now because I haven't played since Pro Tour Nashville.
Yeah.
So I haven't played standard for like 3 months. So I'm not very good about like how the format is. But about the bannings overall, I think as a pro, I'm more inclined to like it. Because when you're a pro, card availability is never an issue, right? You're not like, oh, I had this card and now it's banned.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost no. I mean, the pros, they almost never have their own cards. Just have random like friends or sponsor or whatever giving you the cards for the tournament.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's only about how interesting is it to play the format and how much of an edge can you gain. And if a format is super simple, like there is one clear best deck, let's say it's Marvel, for example, and everyone should play it. And on top of that, the skill gap between the best player and the second best player is very small.
Yeah.
Then it's a bad format for a pro. And usually that is when they ban a card. So for me, I'm mostly happy. Like, I would rather have Wizards create formats where some cards might not be super well balanced, and there you can actually like break it, and then they ban something, because it's actually very exciting. Like the morning of the Pro Tour, when a team comes up with a new deck and they broke it, like they actually broke the format.
Yeah.
It's a super cool feeling. But it shouldn't last forever. So I would rather have Wizards err on the side of power, take some chances, and sometimes they will fail, and sometimes they will put in something like Smuggler's Copter, which was like super, super busted. And they should obviously have seen it.
Yeah.
But at least it makes for a more dynamic format. So I think I'm more likely to support most bans. Like, whenever they ban a card, I'm never pissed about it. It's either I don't care or I'm happy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That the difference between that you're always have the cards you need and you're not financially involved. That makes a lot of sense, and that you want the most healthy playing environment. That's, I guess, if I just asked a random guy at my local game store, he would say, "Hey, it's bad because I spent a lot of dollars on whatever card."
Yeah, so, and I mean that's understandable as well.
Yeah, so but that's why I'm that's why I'm asking you. It's your opinion, but I like that you're aware that there's more layers to it. Now I want to talk a little about the testing process leading up to Pro Tour. So I guess you're on a team. You have a testing team. Could you what's the name of that and who's on that team?
I can't really give you a name because now that you have the team series. Like my team for team series, it's a team opportunity. I'm like with Magnus Lento, Marco Camilluzzi, Gabriel Nassif, and some other pros.
Yeah.
But my testing team is just a bunch of friends I made over a long period of time playing Magic. Okay. Half of them are French. Some of them you might know, like Rémi Fortier. Yeah. He's a young kid who won a Pro Tour. I mean, he was a young kid who won a Pro Tour. and now he's not a young kid, but he's still playing.
Yeah.
Um, and there are a bunch of friends I made with Eureka. Last year I was in a super team called Eureka,
Yeah.
which was doing really, really good. After a while, we decided to split because we had different expectations. Like half of the team was aspiring young pros or people who actually make a living out of Magic and they want to play super, super hardcore.
Yeah.
And the rest was more like people like me who have a job and don't want to be like all in on Magic.
Yeah.
So we
Makes
split.
sense.
But I made a very, very good friends at this point, and I still test with them. So it's people like Magnus Lento, who is like one of the best testing partner I ever had.
Yeah.
Oliver Polak-Rottmann, Emmanuel Gershenson, Alexa Telarov, plus some other guys we tested with before, Steve Hatto, who might or might not be constructed masters this year, Mark Tobias, who made top 8 of the last PT.
Yeah.
And those are my testing team.
Okay, that sounds good. You're traveling to Japan soon? Are you like renting a house and testing nonstop for 2 weeks, or what's your setup like?
It's gonna be only a week and a half, because now that MTGO release happens much sooner than it used to, we decided that we don't want to commit like 2 full weeks in Japan. And also, like, if you're in Japan only to play Magic, I mean, it's kind of frustrating. Like, I would like to visit more. So the first 2 weeks we test online.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday, I will be flying to Kyoto and we'll spend a week and a half with the team for actual real life testing in the same house or the same hotel in this occurrence.
So how does that work? How many people will you be in this room or in this apartment or whatever?
We will be a team of 10 players, I believe, 9 or 10 players.
Yeah.
All are at least good players. Like everyone on the team is at least as good as any gold level pro.
Yeah. Okay. That's
so
that's pretty good
level,
company
like,
to be in.
Yeah.
So how do you do it like in practice? Do you fire up a lot of drafts? How do you keep like track of data and stuff like that? How do you?
It's pretty new because we used to test a lot of both draft and constructed in real life, and we try to do it in the most professional way we can. Like when we are testing, we actually do it very, very seriously. So we keep tracks of every results. We have 2 debriefing per day, so that people who tested some matchup can explain to the other how it went, why, what we could improve in both decks.
Yep.
We use a lot of IT tools to keep track of whatever we found, to keep track of the results. We use a bunch of, like, there is a whole methodology that I use for my actual job of consultant that is engineered to help people find ideas and develop ideas together.
Yeah.
So we do it like real professional. The only difference now that MTGO is online sooner is that we will mostly focus on constructed and not so much.
Once you get to Japan.
Yeah. Yep. Because for the drafting, I can do it online. Like there is not. I mean, we of course discuss a lot about our picks and how we rate the cards, but you don't really need 8 amazing players to test drafting. You just need to draft with good players on MTGO and discuss how you did with the rest of the team. That's good enough.
Yeah.
But for constructed, the bias if you play against a weaker player is actually very big, and we really want to play together to figure out what to play.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I think a lot of people are not really familiar with how these teams work because it can be pretty hard to understand. Like you bring what you bring to the table, then if you have 8 other guys, then combined you have all your knowledge is combined, but maybe it's also even better because you bring different methods, you bring different stuff to the table. Maybe you have like a control specialist or aggro specialist that can bring certain stuff. So
yeah, we have those kind of things for sure. Like some people are better with some decks and they have more ideas, and some people are more brewers and like they like to create new decks.
Yeah.
Some are better at taking an existing deck and making it better, or at solving one specific matchup. And yeah, there is a lot of synergy, but like the typical day, we're gonna meet at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Decide which matchups we want to test, make a chart, and divide into pairs that will test the matchups, enter the results, improve the list, and then have a debriefing where everyone tells the other what we found out.
Yeah,
and based on what we found out, we decide what we're gonna do in the afternoon and so on until we know which decks to play.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like a good method to to improve your odds of doing well in the actual tournament. I like that. So lastly, I want to talk a little bit about Legacy, because you I know you played at Grand Prix Las Vegas and you had a great result. But do you actually like how is it for pros playing Legacy? Do you guys see it as a skillful format or easy format? I've heard a lot of different stuff about the format. What's your take on it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the format itself is extremely skillful. Like I remember, I think it was Brad Nelson told me that he loved Legacy because it was the only format where you could do 10 misplays on turn one. Like you're playing Brainstorm, Ponder, all those cards that require a lot of choice every turn,
Yeah.
and you need to play against Force of Will Daze. So even if your opponent has nothing on the board, you still need to think about what they could be doing.
Yeah.
So it's extremely deep. Every turn involves a ton of decisions, and I think I don't know about Vintage, so I will not talk about Vintage, but I think it's definitely the deepest format in terms of constructed and in terms of how demanding it is to play perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can play perfectly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
On the other hand, I would say that the average Legacy player is much, much worse than the average Modern or Standard player.
Yeah.
At least like that's the vibe I got from playing those Legacy GPs. Like the Legacy community is very nice and very welcoming, but it's also made. I mean, look, a lot of players they started playing Magic long ago, and they decided to keep playing Magic with their old cards. But they're not really competitive, right? They don't want to follow metagame or anything,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean they're bad, but it probably means they are not as committed to the game as other communities are.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to not play as well, and also people have more attachment to their deck or their card. So there is a super, super wide metagame, but honestly, not every deck in this metagame is actually good. And you are more likely to play against a horrible deck.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
in
think the
Standard or
average-
Modern now, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think it's definitely right. I mean, the average Legacy player, maybe they just love goblins or they just love something and
Yeah.
then will just keep on playing it.
I actually had Goblin in mind, for example. I think Goblin is pretty bad,
Yeah.
but if people want to play it, they will play it. And in Modern, or especially in Standard, if you have 3 buys, you are only going to play against extremely good decks that top 80 the last Pro Tour or whatever. So you don't get a free win because your opponent is playing a bad deck and you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I like that take on Legacy because you will meet worse opposition on average, but the mechanics of the format can make you make a lot of misplays, so you can't just
Yes.
walk in from the street and do well in Legacy.
No, definitely not. It's really a format where you need to learn what you're doing, and every deck is usually pretty complex. It has like its inner logic, and yeah, it's a very demanding format. And if they ever did, I don't think they will, but if they ever did a Legacy Pro Tour,
Yeah.
I think the skill of this Pro Tour would be insanely high, and I think the top 8 would be almost for sure. Everyone in the top 8 would be among the top 20 players in the world.
Yeah. That's actually pretty interesting. I would like to see that one day.
Yeah, me too.
And then
I would not be in the top 8 though, but it would be fun to watch.
No, I got that. Maybe if you're lucky. But you played a deck with 4 Cabal therapies. How much
Yeah.
how much experience did you have with Legacy going into the event? Because Cabal therapy is pretty. I mean, you can't have a detection probe all the time. So
I had enough. Like I played, like coming up to Vegas, I spent a week and a half with some friends here. We went out, but every morning I spent 3 to 4 hours grinding on MTGO
yeah,
to play my deck. So when I played the GP, I had played maybe 100 matches with the deck I played with Brixie
okay.
Pyromancer, and 2 of the best French Legacy players helped me with the deck.
Yeah.
So I had a good list to start working, and they told me like, I'm not gonna say they told me how to play the deck. I mean, I still had an idea how to play the deck.
Yeah.
But basically, when you learn a deck, first you learn level 1, like it's the obvious things to do.
Yeah.
Then level 2, like the general strategy, and then level 3, which is like the very complex part. And basically, they told me everything about level 1 and level 2. So all I had to do was make the last step from level 2 to level 3
Yeah.
to master the deck.
Do you think 100 matches is enough to do that?
I mean, it's not perfect, and for sure, like the longer you play, especially in Legacy, the longer you play, the better you get. But I think with 100 matches, I'm still probably better than the average GP opponent
Yeah,
by a decent margin.
yeah. I guess
I mean,
that
I'm not
makes sense.
like gonna crush them or anything, but 100 matches is still a lot. And during the GP, I felt like I was playing okay.
Yeah, and because of the size of the Grand Prix, you didn't in the you didn't end up in the top 8 because there were like I don't know 3,000 people or
Yeah, it was like 2,600, I think, something like this.
2,600. Yeah, but under normal circumstances, 13 and 2 is good enough.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I had a chance. Like last round, I was playing against Reed Duke,
Yeah,
and we we didn't know if the winner would make top 8 or not. But yeah, after all, I did not.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. I spectated that match. It seemed like you both treated it as a potential winner. Then.
Well, yes and no, because okay, that's gonna sound pretentious again, but when we saw that we were not in the feature match area, we
Yeah.
figured that if we had been playing for top 8, we would probably have been featured.
Right.
So it was very likely that Wizards knew we could not make it.
Yeah, that actually makes sense because it's two name players playing against each other, and you're not even featured the last round at 12 and 2.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but yeah. Okay, I guess that's all I have. Last thing is that you have the chance to like shout out for your if you want to shout out your sponsors or whatever. That's also
Yeah, I mean, I have like for the first time a sponsor with which I have actually a very good working relationship. I'm
yeah.
working with a Hareruya now,
The
so I'm part of like the
Japanese.
Europe. Yeah, it's a Japanese brand, but now they have a European team.
Oh, sweet.
So it's been a year now, and like one thing I can mention about them, I'm not gonna tell you about the product or whatever. No worries. It's just one thing they did recently is they created the Hareruya Hopes initiative,
Yeah.
which basically is sponsoring for players who don't have a lot of pro points but still at least 10 this year
Yeah.
and who want to make it to the next step. And I thought it was a really cool thing to do. Like back when I started to become a pro or kind of a pro, whatever, I would have loved for something like this to exist.
So it's kind of
Like
sponsoring the up and coming to try and give the last
yeah, exactly. Like
push to
pick the
make it.
best, the best young players and help them grow into real pros.
So how will they be helped by this project? How will it work in practice? Do you know that?
Yeah, there are like three main things. First one is money,
Yeah.
which is always helps. The second one is fame. Like being in Hareruya actually helps promote yourself, like your name, your image, and as you will grow to realize, it helps a lot. For example, finding testing partners,
Yeah.
being at least decently named is important, and also not having the reputation to be a douchebag or anything helps
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot. And lastly, it also helps those players test together if they want to, which obviously is gonna make them better, hopefully.
Sounds like a pretty cool project. I like the fact that you can start with something like a Magic store and then trying to expand and trying to have like a bigger impact in the
Yeah,
Magic scene. It sounds like very like passionate people are behind this project.
yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, I guess that wraps it up. So thank you, Pierre, for stopping by. It was yeah, we got around to a lot of nice topics here. I
It was
guess
a pleasure.
you never know what how how much you're like the guy wants to talk in the interview. If you just give short answers, I mean that would be great as well. But this was yeah above expectations. Very nice.
Oh,
So
it was a pleasure, and I hope you get to beat me in the next Legacy Grand Prix.
yeah, well, first step is making it to the same bracket as you. I had some trouble in Vegas. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't really prepare enough and played a Black Red Reanimator. Do you know that deck?
Yeah. I played against it
Yeah, it's
a
just
bunch.
if you feel like you're an above average player, you just don't get to leverage that much with this deck. So
Yeah, I think so as well.
I'll not make that mistake again. But yeah, thanks and yeah, I'm signing off.